Well, look at all of us being so early here.
Hello.
Good morning.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, comment ça va? That's all I have.
Ça va, jeune américain.
Let's go. Man, we went straight to the foreign language exchanges. Let's do it.
Adios, amigos. That's all I know.
Adios.
That's good.
Chachos.
Well, for my time working in Moscow, I've got Dobry Utra.
Oh,
But you
yeah.
have to say that in a very guttural voice. Dobry Utra.
Oh, you sound like a complete killer, man.
Right. KGB spy, hitman.
Yet.
Oh man.
До свидания, my comrade.
Jason. Oh man. This is already fun. This is already like the high point of my week.
Good.
Just the first 30 seconds. So that's great.
All right. Good meeting, everybody. See you next month.
See you later.
Good God. There's somebody here who's been in a rock band. We love you, man. Rock on.
All right, going back over my notes. Yeah. Oh, we've got a really good question we're going to be covering today. In case you didn't see it, I'm having everybody sum up their superpower in 2 words, and that can just be 2 words that most describe you and how you help people.
Got it.
So 2 words, challenge. It's challenge, but I prepared you, so you should be ready.
Yeah, right.
Of course, I came prepared.
And if you didn't, then now you know. You read every single MDC email that comes across your desk like your life depended on it.
Oof.
Skill. It's being taught.
So who wants to start off?
I already went, man. You're going to just let me be the only naked dude? Exposed myself to everybody. Connection.
That only happens if you stand up on the Zoom camera. That's, that's another thing. No, for 2 words, for me, it'd be data plus design.
Will you throw that in chat, Mr. Man?
I will indeed.
So then I'll have a record of it after the recording is done, which I want. So when I do my summary, I can access those. Will, good to see you, my man. One of our newcomers, Will and David. And then Alan, you're going to get a chance to talk about yourself, introduce yourself as well. Let's see. We'll give everybody a few more minutes. I know Caleb's coming in also. He's going to be a little bit late. Dave, Alan, and Will. Let you guys intro and then the question. Then we'll get into the questions after we get into the intros. Anybody else who's next on the 2 words, the power words that best describe how you help people?
For fear of sounding cliche, collaborate and listen. I truly enjoy listening to people's stories. I really enjoy furthering their stories through collaboration. I mentioned, I think, in the last meeting, the yes and side of things is a crucial part of my being, but that by itself is 2 words. So I had to omit that one for this one. But I love collaboration. I love taking people's ideas, furthering them, adding on to them, giving them back to them. So that's me.
Love it, bro. And that is so much my experience of you. Will, you put forward connection. I love that. All right. So the forward, what's the forward part?
I said in a little bit in my email introduction, time is not a thing that I have a luxury of. I have a really hard time when conversations get boring and projects are just not going anywhere. Everybody has those people, and I have a really hard time with those. I'll do them, but I really want to the things that I guess are my superpower. I guess, was that the question?
Question, yeah.
I like making connections that move things forward. That's what I'm good at.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, man. Innovate. You're an innovator. All right. Alan, what you got, man?
Oh, I had ideas and entrepreneur, so it's not exactly the right type of word.
Yeah.
And that was part of my love is I love new ideas. I love what everybody's saying so far, and I take it from an entrepreneur standpoint. I don't care if you're working for a big company, like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, I like taking that step back and how do you build a new business model around that? Or helping people become entrepreneurs. I love all that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. And again, just so true to what my experience is of you. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with intros. So it looks like we got Kenny coming on. And so I think we're gonna, for the sake of time, because I don't want to run out of time, I think I'll let people keep doing that on their way in and keep directing that. But I am going to let David lead us out. So kind of 2 to 3, 2 to 4 minute introduction, which I know is going to be tough, Dave. But I would say to frame that a little bit, let's do passion and mission as your framework for that. And give us the basics like name, title, company, whatever, but then passion, mission.
Got it. Okay. Name's David LaFontaine. Bit of the background: started as a classically trained journalist, worked at the Arizona Republic at the height of its powers. Then went and at the ripe old age of 23, I was a newspaper editor for a daily newspaper in Caracas, Venezuela. That was not without its surprises. Came back to the United States, moved to Los Angeles, started covering Hollywood about in the late 90s, started going digital, built magazines, built one of the very first streaming video platforms on the internet. Our technology got snapped up after we were a little ahead of the game by about 5 years. Got snapped up, formed the backbone of YouTube. And I started concentrating on building sites for clients and web design, going from hand coding things to building sites that actually do something. That turns into UX design. And that the core skills of a journalist map very well to some of the things that we do in UX design. The skills of a managing editor, which are putting together a front page and ordering things, that's information architecture. Knowing what people are interested in, that's content strategy. Doing UX research, that's an investigative journalist. A lot of these core skills are portable. At least that's what I'm telling my students. As for passion and mission, where I've gone in the last decade or so has been working with creatives to get designers, writers, photographers, creative people over their numbers phobia, and to get them to engage better with data and analytics. I make a big distinction between a data-driven and a data-informed organization. A data-driven organization is one that just makes decisions based upon what the numbers say in the spreadsheet. And in that case, you're just abrogating all decision-making capacity to the spreadsheet. Data informed means you take that data, you look at it, and then you apply your human context. And so that's kind of my passion. That's my mission. And along the way, I have also done lots of research for the NAA, the Newspaper Association of America, back when that was still a thing. For AIM Group, Advanced Interactive Media, where we looked at classified advertising. And then I've worked for the U.S. State Department in countries around the world, trying to help journalists, human rights organizations, pro-democracy groups learn how to use digital technology to get the word out about what's going on in their countries. And if you want to look for a passion, it's trying to redesign the way that we get information right now, because quite obviously it's broken. Okay, next up.
Well done, my friend. Well done. I didn't
Did I
even
make
have
it under the wire for the time?
I didn't even have to sweep you off the stage, man. It was good.
You didn't have to have the band play on me like on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Oscars.
I'm going to tell you one of the reason that Dave is here is because I had somebody within this group request. They were looking for a data-driven UX person, and I went looking to see if that existed, and I found Dave, and Dave is that and more. And so you put it really well. I'm going to tie a bow on it and just say, this kind of investigative journalistic approach to looking at your data and then making UX decisions based on what your users are telling you is elegant, right? It sounds simple, but I think elegant, and I don't know many like him. So let's see. We're gonna go to Alan. Alan, you're next. And then you get, like I said, you got about 4 minutes to tell us all the technicals of who you are and then mission and passion.
Well, after listening to Dave, my God. Hey, I hope you're successful with your mission, Dave. That's amazing. My mission of my company is to help media companies grow audience, magazine media specifically. We have a product called the Cover Rocket, which I'll talk about in a second. My background is I was a paper boy back in the day. So I've been in the circulation side of the business. Teamster truck driver for a newspaper company, used to be in the complaint department. So I've kind of seen it all. And I've been helping local media for years help get an audience on the newsstand. So that's my legacy business, was helping these local magazines get great checkout pockets. Where we've shifted, and I appreciate what Dave said about UX design, because I think that's critical in everything we do, is making it easy for people to use this very complicated product that's in the background. Is we are now helping magazine media grow their audience with something we call the Cover Rocket. That's our first product. We're going to be doing it on email and digital as well here shortly. And that product is just giving simple metrics to editors and art directors and marketing people to see how well their cover did versus others, and find how ideas other people are doing, and maybe you could get it as an idea generator. And our clients include Dotdash, Meredith, Hearst. A lot of the major publishers have bought in, and now we're going down. I just was talking to the Harvard Business Reviews and stuff like that would be clients as well. So not yet, but soon. So that's the product we have. And on the data side, the AI world, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this group, is I can't design my way out. I love data. More data points, the better. But the AI revolution, I actually do understand, and that we're starting to apply to our tool. And I can't wait to hear more about AI from this group.
Yeah.
And the last note about that is our technology is now, we're about to launch in the UK. We're going to be doing Germany soon, and other marketplaces. So that's kind of me, I guess. Anything else, Johnny, on that?
No, that's perfect, man. That's perfect. And I will say, part of the reason I brought you in and invited you was just your long-standing history of helping media. And you do have that kind of spirit of, let's all look at what each other are doing, and then let's measure it, and then let's compare, and then let's make better decisions, right? Like I hope I'm saying it well.
No, it's strength in numbers. I mean, stop competing against each other. Look at this group you have. Work together. We can build, special things. And that's one thing I do love, is brainstorming and building.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
And I'll say, just even in general, there's also just an integrity fit that I look for. So I'm not just out there looking for people to be a part of this group that are like just really good at stuff. I'm looking for people that kind of have that spirit of generosity, and that spirit of open sharing. Because I think that's also important. I want you to be a beast at what you do, but I also want you to be a person who's going to take care of others and has a heart to take care of the industry. And so that is kind of alive and well under the surface. So Will, your turn, my friend. Come and bring some more about who you are, what you do, and mission and passion.
Yeah. So I'm the owner and CEO of Kairos Communications, which I was the sales guy at the local digital only here in Central Wyoming, and I did that for a few years, and I kind of woke up one morning when they weren't really focused on it anymore. It was a software company that owned it, small software company based here in Wyoming, and they were pushing on something else. And I said, hey, I kind of see the writing on the wall that either this is going to go away or I'm going to lose my job or both. And so can I buy it? And when I say forward connection, I have no idea how it happened other than grace, but the owner had some other things in the background, and he said, you got 30 days. And the number was not a small six-figure number. And somehow I managed to put together a coalition of local business people and investors and raised several $100,000 to put the thing together. So I purchased that, and then started a co-working space because the software company pulled out of the 12,000 square foot reclaimed warehouse space that we were in, and which they said they weren't going to do, and they did. So I had that and needed to do something with it. So we started a co-working space. Then some local radio station operators, they were retiring, and we wanted to keep them local. So I got into radio, which I know nothing about. I drank from a fire hose and know a lot about it now. And we also acquired a small agency, which we've now quadrupled in size. So a lot of things, and I have 7 kids. And
Don't get that.
the incredibly meticulously organized wife that keeps our family moving. So busy life, and I love it. I grew up on a lake as an only child, super needy because I was an only child, but growing up on the lake, like that culture is very relationship driven, hang out on the sandbar, that kind of thing. And that really formed me as a kid. I went to school in Indiana. Marching band is at the top. Like there's basketball, and then there's marching band, and then the distant third is football. And state championship, marching band, music. That's what I went to college for. Then I met a girl, changed directions, got a liberal arts degree in history, which you can't do a whole lot with except think or teach. And so I went into nonprofit management because I needed a job to support the pretty girl, and got married in Wyoming, and did some nonprofit management, went into healthcare, sales and marketing, got world-class business training there. Got laid off by big healthcare, and then ended up in advertising. So that's my hobby, is what I found in local media, community storytelling, community tools. The smaller, the better. Our agency focuses on like small restaurants and small businesses, small markets. We do a little bit of consulting with other media companies as well. So.
I appreciate you, Will. Yeah. And I will say the reason I brought Will in was we had an incredible conversation, and it became very clear to me in that conversation that I was talking to somebody who really, really is on the leading edge of what's working in media and what's sustainable in media, and takes a data-driven approach to that, which a couple of key moments, which you didn't really share here, but there were a couple of key moments where you made data-driven decisions on your business, and I thought, okay, let's bring him in. He'll fit right in. So thank you for joining us, Will. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you.
All right, so Kenny, I still need your 2 words in the chat. So the 2 words that best describe how you help people.
Oh man,
every
Broad
time.
City or Red Bank Green?
You as an entity, you as a person in this world. Like, what are the two things? You can look at everybody else's too. And you actually don't have to.
Yeah. I didn't actually, I don't think I get access to the chat, I don't think, but.
Oh, you don't?
All right. I don't know. I said 2 words. They're kind of related, but.
Yeah, give them to me. Oh, there we go. Surprise and lift. Okay, I love that, man. Go ahead and give
this is,
yeah.
it's evolving because I think about this a lot. I kind of like arrived um, at this place where, well, I'll start with basically what, I really like to do. I think, I was thinking about this morning, so it's good timing. But as a kid, I really like to build things. And I particularly like to build things when it would surprise people, right? I loved building something and people were like, wait, you did that? And it didn't matter like what it was. It could be with like Legos Connects or something, just like, surprising people with like creativity or like, oh, I didn't think about that. I just always thought that was amazing that I could do something that people hadn't really considered. So I kind of like over time really started to like enjoy building things that like people hadn't like really thought about before, or also like showing people that something could be done that like they didn't think was possible.
Yep.
And then I really really like, and I kind of like just kind of gather, because like these things emerge over time, right? Like you don't really like they just kind of come out, and like the way you live your life. And then like there's something else I really like to do. I like to like kind of show people that like maybe something that they wanted to do that they might have like written themselves off for, like something was possible that they could do, right? And that like really just like when you get that, when someone like is doing something that they themselves did not think they could do it, and you help show them how they could do it, that it just love that. So
Yeah,
I
bro.
kind of like, yeah, so I like that surprise element, but I really like this idea of like giving other people. And I embedded so much of this in my webinar yesterday. Thank
Yeah.
you, by the way, Johnny, for being so generous, by the way, in promoting that.
Yeah.
But we had like 400 people registered. And like, even when I'm doing a tactical webinar, I'm always like embedding my own philosophy into it. So a lot of it was around giving other people a lift,
Yeah.
right? This idea of taking them from like where they are today and giving them a lift to like some place that they wanted to be. Because like every single one of us on the call, we're on this call, like we're helping other people get to where they want to go, but like we're also going to a place that we're trying to get to. And like,
Better preach it, bro. Preach it, man. Go ahead.
I've just arrived at this place where I realized that like, I mean, two things, like you get to where you want to go by helping other people get to where they want to go. And there's no higher purpose in this existence than to give other people a lift on the, where they want to go. So I know that got like borderline spiritual there, but like I've been thinking about it a lot lately. And I'm not sure like I always thought about that way, but that's it's the way I think now. So
Yeah.
So there you got it.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Kenny. And we're gonna jump in now, kind of in that spirit, like in the spirit of like we are here to both get a lift, right? Like there are conversations that are happening and that have happened where people from this community are either getting business or giving value, massively needed value, to other people within the group, which was my initial purpose, right? So that's happening. But we also are here to give a lift to media, specifically media, and specifically media publishing is the topic, where we're trying to give a lift to that industry. So the question that I'm asking is, if you were starting a local media company completely from scratch, what products or strategies would you lead out with? And so let's mess with our minds a little bit. Is that Darth Vader standing behind you, Jason? Is that Vader? Is that Big Daddy Vader? Okay.
It is, yeah. Every once in a while, he just kind of leans in, make sure I'm working. See,
Gosh,
there he goes.
Dude, you are nuts. But yeah, if you were starting over from scratch, right? So what's intended here is like, man, let's deconstruct the model a little bit, and then figure out what are the tastiest tidbits that you lead out with. And I said strategies and products. So anyway, I'll go ahead and just open it up, and we're going to talk about that for a little bit. And I suspect that'll probably be a good chunk of the rest of our time. But have at it.
Okay. I'll start off by saying that the answer I would have to give is the frustrating lawyer answer, which is it depends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been a part of these transnational research projects looking at digital native media, first throughout all of Latin America, and then most recently with Project Oasis, which was a project that was funded by Google, mapping digital media across 43 countries in Europe, employing 60 researchers, and looking for people who are doing something that's sustainable. And it varies so widely from market to market. But to what Kenny was saying there, the through line in there is that what succeeds is something that is providing a essential service to their local community or to a community of interest, of affinity there. The one that through my own research was a case study of a car site in Brazil, Icaros. They were fifth in the market, and they really looked at what it was that would take them getting advertising money in the Brazilian market, which is a huge market, to go from fifth to first. And what it was is they came up with a product that on the first day of the week in the morning, Monday morning, arrives on the car dealership's, manager's inbox. And it basically says, okay, here's all the cars you have on the lot. Here's the advertising that you're doing for them. Here's how many clicks you're getting. Here's the keywords that are working. Here's what the prices are in the rest of the market compared to where you are. And basically what it is it's a blueprint for how to run your business. You can't not advertise with these guys because you have to get that report every Monday morning because it tells you how to run your business profitably. It tells you, to the point that we were making earlier, what's everybody else doing? And how do I run my business?
Yeah.
How do I make money? And how do I actually sell cars? Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. I've got a whole
Thank
bunch
you.
of examples, but I don't want to grandstand.
Thank you, bro. No, I love that. There's a great, what's everyone else doing? Another great example of that. I'm in pretty tight with the folks over at, it's apartments.com.
Yeah.
Great contact high up at apartments.com. And she described the same thing. Like, apartment owners it's the data that they give about occupancy and how much you need to advertise to get how much lift and competitive pricing, like all that stuff, they can't live without it.
Yeah.
Right? If you're an apartment owner, if you're owning multifamily, you can't live without it. And they can show you, this is what happens to your business if you advertise this much. This is what happens if you advertise this much. This is what happens if you advertise this much, right? And can show people in real time. And so it's one of those where they can't help but buy it. So I love that. What is everyone else doing as a component of service to the community? Anybody else want to riff on that or have a different piece of the puzzle? Product strategy. That's probably more strategic. Dave, I'm thinking.
Well, one of the things that I was hoping to talk with Kenny about is the reporting, because that's where I've been brought in to help like big e-commerce firms and to connect what we see in the numbers and then, trying to reconcile the reports that you're getting out of Google Analytics with what you're getting out of Facebook Analytics with what you're getting when you run an audit through your ERP. And you'd think that, hey, look, it's just reporting, like, click here and buy, and you'd think that it'd be the same number, and it is not. It is not. Everybody wants to take credit, like, no, it was my sale. They saw the Google ad and they clicked through, so give us more money over at Google. Meanwhile, Facebook's like, no, man, it was our creative on the side there. That's what got them to the site in the first place. Give us more money. And so everybody's cooking the damn books on this thing. That was a fun one that I discovered. But anyway, Kenny, can you help us out here, man? With the ad products and the ad sales that you're doing there. And I am a small business owner, and the one thing that you're interested in marketing is my money actually bringing customers in the door? Am I spending more on marketing than it actually, converts to sales for me? Should I bother to keep doing this? What you got for me,
Right.
man?
There are two ways and two things that actually three things. So I've thought about this a lot because I don't like the idea that anybody has to buy advertising on faith, right? Ecom is a little better in ecom because at least theoretically, you can track conversions and you should be able to track all that. But and people on the outside who aren't in marketing or tech, they think that's just how it works. You buy the ad and you can track and see exactly how many people, but it's like, whoa, there's way more moving parts and way more pieces of technology and glue you got to connect. So what I found is that, especially outside of ecom, almost nobody has any actual data on how their marketing spend impacted results.
Yeah.
So the huge majority of it is on faith.
Yeah.
And this actually creates a real problem for small publishers because I was just talking with a sales rep who has a gym that spends $900 a week with Google, right, on Google Ads, but they have no way of tracking whether it's actually converting to any customers.
Oh, good Lord.
Meanwhile, they're turning down an ad with this particular ad sales rep for like $500 a month, right? Why do they do that? Well, the reason is because, like, in the past when they've advertised, the gym has, Google is reporting like a click-through rate that's like really high. It's like saying and Facebook does this too, and Twitter's even worse.
Yeah.
Twitter will report that like, your click-through rate was like 13% or something insane like that.
Good Lord. Email will do that, but yeah, anyway, keep going.
Right. Exactly. So it made me realize that what I think is going on is that knowing that, and this is like theoretical, I'm still figuring it out, and I've kind of got a little I'm discussing this with Local Media Association to do a study with them, but really digging in to understand whether Facebook's and Google's click rates are inflated, right? If those click numbers are way up, where are they coming from? Are they robots? And fundamentally, if you did track somebody all the way through to conversion, are you getting a better conversion rate through Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, etc., or can you get a better conversion rate through local media? Now, this is anecdotal. All right, there's a guy. Does anybody know Bo Sachs? He's like a media pundit. I'm advertising my webinar in Bo Sachs's newsletter, or I did for the first week, and I'm advertising something else. I'm also advertising the same webinar on Google Display Network, LinkedIn, and all the other channels. Bo Sachs's newsletter is kicking the shit out of Facebook, Google in terms of conversion rate. He's 10xing the results that I'm getting through my Silicon Valley friends. However, Google and Facebook are reporting about 10x the click-through rate that I'm getting through Bo Sachs's newsletter. How is it possible? So anyway, so this study that I'm working on is with there's someone who just recently left Medill, who is the she also worked at Center for Cooperative Media. Going to help me out with the research on this, and then also Local Media Association doing a little bit of a report to really study. Okay, we're going to take a few $1,000 and spend it with Google, Facebook, and try and repeat it a few times. Can we repeat that result over and over? Because if it's true, I want to arm every ad sales rep on the planet with a report that shows that spending money with Google and Facebook is more or less throwing it away. Yeah. I know that was long-winded, but
Go get him, go get him, Kenny. Go get him, bro.
Get that off my chest. But thank you for asking that.
No, I for more than 11 years now, I've been jumping up and down and screaming with my hair on fire, saying that click fraud. If you talk to people in the industry, click fraud runs at about 30%, at least. At least. Sometimes 80 or 90% click fraud. And how many here have heard this lovely Orwellian job title, Traffic Acquisition Manager? Who here knows what that is? Oh, Kenny. Yes, you do. I
Mm-hmm.
learned this from talking with people at really big media companies like NBC, that there's a guy that's responsible for the traffic because they've sold 10 million clicks on an ad on the website, and you're getting to the end of the month and you don't have your 10 million clicks, and you go to the traffic acquisition manager and you say, I need another 2.5 million clicks in the next week.
Yep.
And then what does he do? He goes and talks to some people with
That's
Russian accents, and they go, no problem, tovarish. We get you 2.5 million. Good. You do it. You don't have to do, because otherwise the company's got to do a give back of their ad money. They ain't going to do that. And so all of a sudden, boom, here comes the traffic. Now,
Bro.
this is where I come in looking at that traffic, because all of a sudden I notice that all those clicks are coming in from a few IP addresses from computers that are still running, what is it, Windows XP with Internet Explorer 6. Strange. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
the click fraud there is something I taught as a professor at Annenberg, and I was trying to get them back in 2014 to do a project with the students and just get the engineers over at Viterbi. I mean, if you talk to the kids, I mean, a C student over at the Viterbi School of Software Engineering can write you a bot in about an afternoon that will just completely overwhelm most newspapers' technology or most
Mhm.
media organizations' technology there. Yeah, and then who else here saw that stat that something, what was it like during the Super Bowl, 80% of the Twitter advertising clicks are completely fraudulent? You all see that one?
Didn't see it, but let
I
me. I
believe
do
it.
want, let me realign a little bit.
Sure.
Because going back to the core question, the initial question, we've got, you're starting over. You're starting over from scratch. Where this took us, which was great, was okay. There's actually a massive consideration here in terms of how do you add real value to your advertiser. So you started with, strategically speaking, okay, how do I add value to the advertiser and compete with the things that have, challenged media so powerfully over the last decade, right? With the Googles and the Facebooks, et cetera, that are making all these promises and show that the power of local media is actually greater. So I love that we start there, and now we're looking at what the value prop is, because everything you're talking about at this point, right? Click fraud, all that is just part of the stronger value prop. So you're going to go out to the market with a stronger value proposition than ever before. What else are you going to do? Like, let me ask this question: what do you lead out with? What's your initial offering to the market? How do you begin?
Right. Just two quick things that I've done personally.
Yeah.
One is that I built this button that when you click on it, it sends a text message and an email, and I put it in my advertiser storefront. The ones who will agree to do this, right? I only have 2 of them so far, but that way there's a sign right next to it that says, if you are here today or in the past because of an ad you've seen on Red Bank Green, click this button. And people have been clicking it, which is great.
Love that.
Now that I also wrap, if you go on Red Bank Green, you're going to see a wrapper around an ad. It says, nothing makes a small business owner happier than to hear that you saw their ad on Red Bank Green, right? And the reason I do that is that how many times have you heard from Will? You probably heard this a few times, where people would say like, "No one told me they saw my ad," which is like never happened in the history. Like no one just tells you that they saw your ad. They go and they buy the thing normally. But that's the thing. I'm like, I want somebody to hear that they saw the ad.
Yeah.
So those are ways I've tried to solve it. But in terms of how I go into it right now, it's like there's an element of faith, and I try to bridge that gap.
Yes, I see what you're saying. That's a bridging faith move. The button clicker is creating a tangible experience of the result.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's proof. I mean, I don't think has anyone actually tried to do that before to show that people actually came into the brick and mortar because of an ad I saw it on Red Bank Green. I don't think so, but then it occurred to me, like, why not? Just do it. So I looked up the stuff to try and make it happen.
Yeah.
One other minor thing is that on at least 2 of the ads on Red Bank Green, you can like the ad. So I wanted to try and give some social proof I have this ridiculous exploding ad that like when you click on it, it explodes like hamburgers and hot dogs. It's outrageous. But that was another thing. Can we prove that people are interacting with it and beyond just like the standard impressions and click stuff? So
Got it. Yep. So again, that's more strategy advice also, right? So in terms of making the connection for the local advertiser who's not going to be super sophisticated in all their mechanisms or even their understanding. All they care about is, did the thing put butts in seats, right? Did it bring people through the door?
That's fundamentally, yeah, what they would like. But at the same time, like they also understand that there's branding and awareness and stuff like that. And that's the way a lot of sales reps do it now. They're like, oh, well, it's about awareness and letting people know you exist, which is important. You know, that's one way of getting your message out there is like telling people and paying to do it. So
You
We
know,
do some,
oh, go ahead. I was just gonna actually just say something about Bosaks. So, Johnny, you were talking about what would I lead off with? I just copy what Red Bright Green does. Find you do something really good in a marketplace. Talk to those guys and lead off. Like I'm always like the newsletter thing fascinates me. But I just wanted to reaffirm Kenny about local media. You were talking about Bosaks. First of all,
Mhm.
it is claimed he started the e-newsletter business, right? I mean, go because he did it when AOL was just a brand new company.
early 90s, he launched that newsletter.
Yeah, early
You know,
90s. And my cover rocket was advertised about the same time as your stuff, Kenny. And to
Mhm.
your point, oh, did I get a lot of click-throughs where people are saying, I want to talk to you? A couple? Oh, but people know who I am right now. When I'm making a call, yeah, Cover Rocket. I've been seeing that all over the place because we've been
Mhm.
swapping that newsletter. So the brand awareness argument that has been
Mhm.
weakened by Google, you're not going to beat
Mhm.
Google on clicks, right? I would have to say that money was well spent. I mean, extremely well spent on that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, just copy Red Bank Green, everybody. We're good to go.
We're still figuring it out for sure.
Yep.
yeah, I would contribute two things. From a strategy perspective, I mean, obviously you can't sell anything unless you build an audience. And one of the things about being sustainable is, a lot of journalists, no offense to the true journalists that are in the room, which I am not, but a lot of journalists can't come at it from a business perspective. And we very much with the software company, and then what I brought into it when we started with 3 employees and now we have 12. If you is serving a local market, ours has only about 40,000 people in it, but is the size of Rhode Island. There are more people than that in many of the blocks that you guys are on, but whatever your local market is, your borough or neighborhood or whatever, if you what we saw was if you can't service that population and grow an audience large enough to sell to an advertiser with one single employee doing the reporting, then just hang it up. You're not doing it right. And so now that could be one huge story a week, because there's a lot of corruption in the city council or whatever. For us, it was utility journalism. It was, we have an Indian reservation, we have a this, we have that, like so many different, it was getting the information out to people. When does the actual city council meeting happen? When are the events happening? Who said what? It wasn't about, more than that. And now it is. We've got to grow and evolve, and now we have a lot more people in the newsroom. But that strategy of building an audience with one person, the company that I bought it from, they called them a community maven instead of a reporter.
Yeah.
Which was which was kind of cool, also kind of artificial and branding, but I think it's also a good thing. Like the reporter is a community maven at that local level, and they're responsible for getting the information and putting it together and putting it out there. So anyway, that just from a sustainability perspective in terms of product offering. We had the products, we had the leadership in the market, but I was losing people. Back to this numbers conversation, I was losing people because I couldn't I couldn't give them the numbers that they needed and have that conversation. And so as far as product, I would say Broad Street. But the numbers from that, but taking those numbers and being able to go in and be an educator and talk with people about what does that really mean. I'm literally looking at an email from a State Farm agent who at some point is going to cancel whenever his contract is up because no one has said anything about his sports sponsorship. I have given out over 100 t-shirts to young kids that say athlete, what is it? I just lost the name, player of the game, and his name and his logo on it. And they're on the air and they're on the video feed. Their parents know about it. They wear them to school. And all the ads and things that come with it. The fact that he thinks nobody has seen it or been impacted by it is absolutely ludicrous. But because nobody has come in and said, I saw your sponsorship. Why? Because it's a small community and they're like, yeah, wow, Justice Jacobs from State Farm, he's helping bring in that's great. But they already buy insurance from him. And so my thing is I'm going to go back to him and go, hey, I'm just going to end your contract early because this is why, and walk him through. Everybody already buys insurance from you, so you don't need me.
Yeah.
But then the branding piece comes in because hopefully through some reverse psychology, he'll go, wait a minute. I do need to keep my name out there. And so being that educator, walking them through that Broad Street has allowed us to do that with the numbers and the local advertising. And being the educator, I think is productized, even if it's not really a product.
Yeah. No,
Just
go ahead.
Johnny, I know you probably need to move on, but Will, so if we can that's something that I think we really need to focus on, see if we can solve. Because I was just talking to Tom, who's the director at New Jersey Monthly. This is industry, every industry deals with this. Nobody mentioned my ad, which is a stupid thing to say, by the way. It's that's not exactly how it works. If we can somehow find a way to encourage or get people to mention it somehow. And I was thinking, what if we wrap the creative with just something that allows people to put their first name and just a note to say something? Because I think people would do that. I think some people would actually do that. Just something to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, because it's something I hear over and over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of nuts to crack, but man.
Go ahead, Jason.
Sorry about that. One of the things we're doing with Alaska Business with our print ads, we're doing more and more to encourage advertisers to QR code their print material. And those QR codes, instead of going directly to their website, go through our website before getting handed off to their website. So we get that tracking information for them, even if they're not tech savvy enough to have that QR code coded to a specific URL on their webpage.
Yeah.
So even if they don't have the landing page set up, we have the pass-through information that said, hey, somebody did click, somebody did scan your QR code from your ad that did take them to your website. We're not seeing a ton of traction on that. We're seeing in the 5s of people actually scanning those ads, but to us at least, that's more information than we previously had. But it's kind of a double-edged sword too, because now we go back to that advertisement. We're like, 5 people scanned your QR code this month. So it's one of those just enough information is dangerous, but at the same time, it does point towards, I think, potential with that system.
I probably in the future, I'd like to talk a little bit more about QR code and how to optimize the ask there. Because if you think about when you scan QR codes, it's not like, oh, I'm curious about that company. I scan QR codes when I need to get something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need to get a certain kind of information or register for something that I'm interested in, right? That's when I scan QR codes.
Right.
So kind of using it as this informational thing, well, it's there. But I think probably there's something to be said about what is the strategy for driving people to a QR code and making it essential for them to interact.
And that call to action is so important. We see more people scanning if it's attached to an event, if it's attached to an event sign up, things like that, versus just, click here for more information, scan here to go to our website. So that call to action is very important to get that QR code looked at and scanned.
Yeah, Jason, I wonder if we can take a tip out of digital marketing strategy where we're giving away some free resource, whether it's a white paper or something along those lines, and we take that offline, and within the ad we point them to the QR code in order to receive the free resource. What, maybe it's a quote, maybe it's a consultation, something along those lines to bridge that gap. And see if we can drive traffic to that call to action, because then it's not even just we're tracking scans, but we're tracking scans and connecting that directly to how many calls to action get filled.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like that, yeah. Yeah.
We can talk a lot about this, but like I said, that might be a good future conversation. I will say, so nobody talked very much about the medium that they would lead out with. I might actually recycle this question and ask it from a different angle next time, because I thought this was great, but this was definitely strategic. Go ahead, Kenny.
I was gonna say, just getting back to your original question, like what would you do differently? I would really consider the fact that social media is no longer social. It's mainly about just pump in TikTok style reels, right? Like, when was the last time you actually saw something from your friends on Facebook? It's like one thing, and then it's ads and like other stuff that comes in randomly, right?
Yeah.
And what was the reason that people read the news in the past? Like, what are all the reasons? But I think fundamentally it comes down to, it's not about being informed necessarily. It's about being able to connect with other people. So when you're standing around the water cooler, like, that's what it's really fundamentally about. There was another need there. And I think the news industry pundits are kind of like, people crave news. They need the local news. I was like, I'm not sure that's exactly what it was all about. So I'd kind of like rethink why exactly reading the newspaper was necessary in the first place, because there were probably a few different reasons that didn't have anything to do with being civically engaged. As important as that is, by the way.
Yeah. This is good, man. And I will pinpoint. Well, actually, I think I'll save for later. There were some good nuggets inside of this conversation, like some very good strategic nuggets that I think are useful. But the question I asked is a much bigger question, and probably needs to be asked in about 3 different ways in order to pick it apart to the level of activity for the publisher. So we got a platform recommendation from Will, which was great. We got a lot of strategic recommendations, which I think were incredible. I might recycle this later. This question.
Yeah, it was a good enough question that it spurred tangential conversations that could have been hour-long data summits in themselves.
Yes, I consider it success for sure, because it is a rough question to try to ask, and I think it's worth wrestling with multiple times and in multiple forms. But I always want to leave the last couple minutes for, the gold nugget for me is for anybody here to be vulnerable enough with their business and with the inner workings of their business to say if they have a particular compelling need. Because I'll tell you, the joy I get, and part of the reason I do this is if somebody comes back to me and says, Johnny, I had this massive problem, and Kenny helped me solve this massive problem, and it led to massive growth or help or progress for my organization. Now, I'm going to tell you, that is already happening. That is already happening in this community. But that is the payoff for that, one of the big payoffs for me, just based on how I'm built. So if you have a need, or even if it's a need where it's like something like, I don't know if anybody could solve this for me, I'd love to hear, you articulate that big challenge, that if it was out of the way, there'd be something incredible for you on the other side of it. Or to fill up the space, in case nobody, because I know that's a big ask, just a win from the past, since the last time we met, or even prior to that, like a big win for you that you personally want to just have seen by the group. So one or the other.
Just a tiny note, and I don't want to hog the mic at all, but for me, the need is basically, I don't get to be on a ton of calls with smart people who talk, speak this directly and transparently about the stuff that they're working on, or just people who think about this kind of stuff. So for me, it's like the need's already been, like, this is it. It's getting solved right, served right now. So so I really appreciate these calls.
Dude, thank you very much. I need that feedback, because I need to know that the stuff that I'm putting together is making an impact. That's important to me. So thank you, Kenny.
And I want to borrow from Kenny's thank you page playbook. And Johnny, I had two needs I came to you with in the last couple of weeks, and within a week, you put together for me two meetings with professionals that address both my needs. So what you're doing is working, and you're making those connections. You're getting us in front of the smart people. I don't include myself among them. Don't get me wrong, but thank you for putting me in front of smart people.
You definitely deserve to be included. I don't care what you say, Jason. I don't care what you say, bro. Yeah, you've got what it takes, man. Thank you. Thank you for that.
You know, I have a need. First of all, incredibly smart group of people, and I'm a paper boy, so thank you for letting me be inside this group. And Kenny, going back to your point, you're right about the newspapers. I never thought about that. I love listening to your webinars. Is back in the day when we read the newspapers, it was a conversation talking to your neighbor. That was a big part of it. You know, like watching everybody watch the same TV show, right? You know, at nighttime. That's before all you guys were born and there wasn't something called cable. But you know, what I want to do is I'm just driven to deliver more value back to a very ancient architecture of the magazine covers and resonating with audiences. And ChatGPT's already proven where I want to go. I'll make this quick. We're going to have it where you can click on a cover, and we're going to have the, you know, GPT come back and say, hey, here's 10 great cover lines. This is what we think about this one cover, right? You know, just to give editors like things to think about. But I'm going to have a database of 200,000 covers with lots of metrics. I don't know how to take it to that next level. You got all the information in one place, and now start having your AI go on top of that. And I'm going to be taking a lot of AI courses, but just curious if there's connections there, just to ask questions like, hey, is this idea feasible on an AI level, or is that a $500,000 project? If that makes any sense.
It does make sense. Go ahead. I've got something to say, but I'm gonna let Kenny go first.
I can offer my 2 cents on it. I have some. So the use. Are you familiar with frameworks like LangChain or Llama Index or anything like that?
No, I'm new to all of it, so no, I am not.
Okay. So I've got enough playing around on like kind of a lower level AI playground than like what you're used to with ChatGPT. So I can give my 2 cents on if you want to connect afterward.
Yeah,
And
I'd love to connect with you, because I stole your line of like, it's not the person who AI is not going to replace you, but it's the person who knows how to use AI. I've used it 100 times, you know, so thank you for that previous webinar.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I'd be happy.
Kenny.
Oh, it's Kenny at broadstreetads.com.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Good stuff, man. Go ahead. Dave, are you trying to talk?
Yeah, I was just going to say that there are some very basic technologies. If you talk to data scientists and you talk to the real data wizards, they say that, you know, AI is just basically statistics. Which, you know, okay. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be using tools, and you may hear about these. There's one called Random Forest, and that's one for figuring out who your audience is. And that basically, the analogy there is you want to know how many of what particular type of tree there is in a forest. So you just draw a circle that's 100 meters wide, and you count all the oak trees and maple trees and whatever else in that, and then you extrapolate from that to the rest of the forest. So that tells you what cohorts you have. The other one is regression analysis, which is a fancy way of saying we're going to track all the people that moved all the way through the customer journey, all the way to the end where they converted. And then we're going to backwards engineer that. And that's where I come in a lot of cases. Because what we're doing is we're looking at the customer journey and we're figuring out all the people that went all the way to like convert and click on the big orange button and give you money. And where are they dropping off in this, and where can we improve that on that? And then the last one is machine learning, which is basically a black box where we feed a whole bunch of data in there, and the machine like takes over and kind of writes its own algorithm, and then starts spitting out results. And then as you add more and more data in there, you get better results. And that's what like US Foods, when I was working for them, they do that to try to figure out, okay, how many bags of potato chips do we need to produce in Q3 of 2025? Because they got to do this massive planning way beforehand. So these are some of the things that you're going to be looking at, some of the technologies you're going to be looking at for, okay, we're going to take a cover here and we're going to backwards engineer. Here's covers like this that have succeeded. Here's some of the things that we can do. And that's also predictive analytics. And that starts getting really complex, but I don't think you need to like try to run before you can walk on that.
No,
Is it
no,
helpful?
and you're right about the machine learning. Would it be okay if I reach out to you too, Dave? Just
Oh, yes, please.
brainstorm with you a little bit. I actually want to keep it simpler because it's about to go into programming with our developer. And if I go down the wrong path, it gets really expensive. We're going to keep it pretty simple to start.
Let's set up, let me intervene here. Let's set up a sub call. Cause I think Jake has some stuff to contribute on that too. So why don't we can we do that? Set up Alan, if you want to do individual, that's totally fine. But I'd be happy to.
I love the sub call idea, Johnny. I will owe you greatly.
Yeah, let's set up a sub call around AI applications for your particular use case. That way we leverage everyone's time at once. And then see what sticks. So if you guys are open to that, I'll set that up.
Yep, I'm totally down.
And anybody who wants to participate and listen can come and listen too, right? So that'll be even adding value to people
It'll be
besides.
a simple case study. It's like, keep it simple, and that's where we're heading towards. But I'll tell you what, just showing people some of this stuff now where ChatGPT can do it, you get this wow factor, right? So I want the sexy sale. So I really want the simple stuff. The sexy sale works though. I mean, it's coming up with great cover lines.
I gotta cut you off. So one thing I am pretty dogged about time. So I don't want to make anybody late for the next meeting. So let's get out of here. I loved the time and can't wait to meet with everybody next month. And then we will do that sub call sometime in the next week, 1 or 2 weeks. All right.
I'd love to
All right.
introduce that sub call, Alan. I'm fascinated by what you're doing with Discover Rockets. It is truly interesting and intriguing to me. So I'd love to be on that sub call.
I'm looking
Johnny,
forward to
thank you.
talking to you more about it. Thank you guys. This is the greatest.
Appreciate you all.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you,
Thanks a
everyone.
lot, Johnny.
Thanks
Thanks,
a lot.
everybody.